It's safe to say that Wandavision is one of the hottest shows currently streaming. The first of the Marvel Cinematic Universe television series to make its way to Disney+, the sitcom/mystery/drama has been incredibly popular and just a blast to watch. It demonstrates what Marvel is willing to let its television shows be: interesting, unique, even bold. The show has great writing and shows off the talents of its lead actors in Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany beautifully. But what's really hooked me into the show are its twists. I'm a big fan of a good plot twist. When a plot twist shows up in something I'm watching, one of two things happens. I see the twist coming and appreciate the setup, or I don't see the twist coming at all and I'm blown away at the setup. Either way, I enjoy the setup to a good plot twist more than the twist itself, and WandaVision delivers. So today we're going to be looking at one of the biggest twists in WandaVision and the setup that allowed the writers to pull the rug out from under us in a brilliant move. There's a couple of ways one can pull off a plot twist, several of which WandaVision uses. The simplest version of a plot twist is one that doesn't require much setup, and that's an abrupt change to the status quo. In WandaVision, we can find an excellent example of this at the end of the third episode. Firstly, when the conversation turns to a discussion of Wanda's brother Pietro, and Monica drops this line,
"He was killed by Ultron, wasn't he?" What did you say?
This is the first moment that anything outside of Wanda and Vision's sitcom life has been spoken of. This escalates further as Monica mysteriously goes missing. Then at the end of the episode we see she's being ejected into what seems to be a large military base outside of a strange, shimmering wall surrounding Westview, New Jersey. This plot twist is an excellent example of an abrupt change to the status quo as the sitcom and reality are abruptly smashed together. We understand a little bit more about the world in the sitcom. It's something very big and very important. Something that a lot of people are spending time and money monitoring from the outside. Another way of executing a plot twist is to give the audience something that they expect, but is also a little bit more. An example of this lies at the end of WandaVision's 5th episode. You know the scene.
Long lost bro get to squeeze his stinking sister to death or what?
Ever since Pietro was mentioned in the 3rd episode, his name keeps cropping up throughout 4 and 5, just sprinkled throughout. It's simple foreshadowing. By keeping him on the audience's mind, we can expect that Pietro will be relevant to the story, maybe even resurrected like Vision. So when Wanda opens the door at the end of the episode, it's not a stretch to say that seeing Pietro was all that unexpected. However, the fact that the Pietro waiting for Wanda wasn't the Pietro portrayed in Age of Ultron by Aaron Taylor Johnson, but the Pietro from the X-Men universe played by Evan Peters, gave us what we wanted, but on a completely different scale as the X-Men finally make their way into the MCU. This type of plot twist works because it plays off of the audience's engagement with the text of the story, rather like the final plot twist that I want to talk about, the misdirection. The first step of creating the misdirection is giving the audience information, rather like how in our Pietro example his coming was foreshadowed. Misdirection starts off with a similar foundation. WandaVision gets a unique angle on this, however, as the majority of the audience coming into the show will have some background information on the characters, universe, and genre. At the very least, one could expect incoming viewers to know that Wanda and Vision are Avengers, and that, as this is a superhero show, there will be some kind of trouble with a supervillain, and our heroes will use their wits and powers to save the day. The show supports some of this from the very beginning, namely showing that something is very wrong in Westview. This is cemented with the end of the 1st episode, after Mrs. Hart simply laughs as her husband chokes, and Wanda and Vision realize that they're married, but without any of the associated memories, we know that something is very wrong. Pulling out of the television and showing a mysterious observer of WandaVision caps the episode with an ominous tone. The next episodes magnify this strangeness. Wanda discovers a colorful helicopter in a world of black and white. Herb casually cuts through the wall his hedges are growing out of, and a radio decides to chat with Wanda. And that radio is vital to the misdirection because it gives us somewhere to look.
How are you?
Wanda. Who's doing this to you, Wanda? Wanda. Wanda. What?
This is the important bit. Giving the audience information isn't enough to create a misdirection twist. Referring to our Pietro example once more, we were given enough information about Pietro coming that his appearance wasn't the twist so much as which Pietro we got was. The misdirection plays off of the audience's assumptions of the information given. The first of these bits of information came before we even started. As previously mentioned, we make assumptions of the show because we know the genre as we press play. These assumptions are reinforced by the radio scene, where we learn that something is being done to the citizens of Westview along with Wanda and Vision. This implies to us that the story will be about Wanda and Vision discovering the mysterious entity behind the Westview situation. Perhaps that observer from the first episode? This makes the show, at heart, a mystery. It's not like the Avengers movies where the enemy is established by the end of the first act. But to make a satisfying mystery, you need to give the audience a suspect. Part of the genre's appeal is trying to puzzle out what's going on before the protagonists catch up, but you need information to do that. So WandaVision gives us a prime suspect. There are commercials in the show. It really helps to sell the idea of the sitcom by interjecting period-appropriate commercials for watches and luxury bathing products, which happen to be produced by a familiar company, Hydra. From that, it's easy to assume that Hydra is once more the villain, with Wanda and Vision trapped in their little sitcom world and tasked with finding out why, how, and ultimately vanquishing them. But that's just not what happens.
It's Wanda. It's all Wanda.
And this leads us to the final step of the misdirection in WandaVision, revealing the truth. This is quite similar to our first example with an abrupt change to the status quo. While we're looking in one direction towards Hydra, the truth of Wanda creating the Hex comes from the other and slams us through multiple buildings. This is the final piece of the puzzle. You could say that the misdirection is a combination of the previous twists we've examined. Like with Pietro, it feeds us information to make our own assumptions, but then pulls the rug out from under us with an abrupt twist that shifts the status quo in a way we weren't expecting. WandaVision's unique reality has created an environment that allows the show to manipulate us along with the information we're given. After all, we skip from the 50s to the 60s to WandaVision, now in color. But what's really blown me away is this misdirection twist and how well it was set. In a single moment, all of our assumptions from the information the show gave us to the information we glean from the show's genre and characters were upended as we learned that one of our two superheroes was, in fact, the villain.
Are you sure?
Oh, don't worry, darling. I have everything under control.